Is this thing on? Hey everyone, it's your boy Terry. It's your boy Terryoki coming to you from the same fat time, the same fat channel here in the fat cave. Yes, blankets still hanging over the windows, and this is still my face. This is my face now. I'm okay with that. So I know it's been a couple days since I posted a video. Just not a whole lot going on right now. How the hullabaloo leading up to the Beatles nights, the Billy Joel nights. Just kind of in a lull now, waiting for late spring and sorry, I was doing this with my hand. Late spring, early summer to get here. We've had a couple of Downton Stabby rehearsals in the last couple weeks. That's pretty exciting. We finally got the first rehearsal was just kind of a read through, get an idea what the story was about for the actors. The last rehearsal was an actual, what we call in the theater, a blocking rehearsal. Anytime a guy goes or a girl goes from this part of the stage to that part of the stage, that is called blocking. Or pick this up, set that down. That's called blocking. Answer the phone, go pour a drink. That's all blocking. Any sort of movement on stage is called blocking. If you did not know that, you know that now. So we got about 80% of the way through, ding, 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 blocking the show. And we had to end rehearsal when Kevin Ebner's phone died. He was reading his script on his phone, like most actors do these days. It was good. Solid, productive night. Still terrified. We have about 3 more rehearsals left before we open. We're going to try to work a few more in there. And it's just, I felt pretty good going to rehearsal about how well I knew my lines. But it turns out I don't know my lines. What is this on my eyeball? What's going on there? Just a glare? My eyes glowing? It's just me. Anyway, there's a lot to do. And half my energy. Anyway, I thought I ding 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 thought I knew my lines pretty well. So you get in the room and you start ding ding ding. Why am I so itchy tonight? Dry. It's dry and cold. Anyway, you think you know your lines. You get on stage. It's like, I don't have that thing in front of me to read off of. I'm doing this as my script, so maybe I don't know what's going on right here. But if you've ever seen me in a show, you know that knowing my lines or not knowing my lines has never stopped me in the past. So. But we're looking forward to it. Actors doing a great job. It is very, very, very silly. I don't want to spoil anything, but some of the performances are going to be on the border of outlandish. It's just going to be a lot of fun. And I believe I think we're about 25 seats sold for that April 26th show on a 40-seat capacity, so that's pretty good. And we know the dinner. If you're gonna sign up for the show to come see it, you should go to the Iron Pier Craft House.com website. Because even if you call, ding ding ding, even if you call, they're gonna direct you to the website. Because on there you're gonna pick your dinner and your dessert. I think they give you all the options there on the website, and that makes it easier for the waiters. It makes it easier for you. Of course, if you want to change your mind, I'm sure they'll allow it. But that really helps the kitchen know how much food to prepare for a given show. So it's actually a pretty great idea. Submitted information for the playbill that we're going to be producing. Playbill is going to be sort of a playbill menu kind of thing. I'm very handsy tonight. I'm normally pretty handsy, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, it was a lot of fun at rehearsals, and we got a few more left. And I spend half my time worrying about the actors knowing their lines, but they're professionals, so they'll have at least an idea of their lines. And the other half, like, how are we going to light this thing? How's the sound going to sound? How we have 5 songs we have to learn choreography to. They always find a way to come together, though. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a real good time. It was great being in a room with those other 4 people and going through all of this madness. And we have rehearsal Wednesday. We're going to try to add a couple of rehearsals on the next couple of Mondays. Anyway, you should come see it. There's nothing like opening night. And opening night might also be closing night, depending on how well it goes. Anyway, so that's that. Downton Stabby, Thursday, the 26th of April at the Iron Pier Craft House. Really looking forward to it. And I just might be your waiter, so bring lots of money to tip with, okay? It was Billy Joel night last Saturday. I'm not sure if I've talked all that much about it, but it was a great time. I was kind of in terrible voice all day and that whole weekend. I think I had this we may have talked about this before, but I had this, it must be psychosomatic by now that the Monday of the week leading up to a gig, I start getting a tickle and a little, maybe in the glands, and then a little one of these, and maybe a little thing behind my eye. And it has to be psychosomatic at this point because of the last, let's see, 6 years of these tribute shows, plus the other spring shows, couple summer shows. I'd say the last 20 shows I've done, probably 17 to 18 of them I've had some form of ailment. But I just think it has to be at least partially psychosomatic at this point. And it's still a week later, I'm still a little raspy. Of course, I had karaoke last night. A very good karaoke night last night, actually. I first week in a long time I've missed doing a hello and or goodbye video. It was just so busy. I was going right from the moment I got there to the moment I left. There's a child sneaking in to drop off my other laptop. It was a good night. Had about 12 to 13 singers all night, which is great for the establishment because if people are there, they're buying drinks, they're buying food, they're spending money. It's a good night for them. It's a good night for the hosts because A, I don't have to sing 40 songs, and B, it's just a better show. It was a full bar from the time I got there actually early last night because I had to drive up to the rest stop on the Parkway and give a young man some money, and that's really the exact opposite of how it sounds. One of my Billy Joel band members, we met halfway. He's in Ocean City. We met halfway so I could give him his pay. It's not the tawdry thing it sounds like, so get your head out of the gutter, people. And I even got there early, and just right from the jump, I got there about 8:10. I usually get there about 8:25, 8:30. It was just packed, and it took a long time to load in and get my stuff set up because there's people sitting right there where I perform. And yeah, 12, 13 singers. Everyone sings about 4 to 5 songs over that 3 hours, and it's a long wait for the singers. But the singers, it's a pick your poison for the singers. If there's not a lot of singers, that means the bar's kind of quiet and it's not a real busy night. But you get to sing a bunch of songs that nobody's really listening to. On a busy night, you're singing for an audience, but you got to wait 45, 60 minutes between turns. If you're there real early, the first half hour, 45 minutes is always I sing if one other person's there. So get there at 9 for karaoke. Don't come at 10, 10:30 and then expect to sing 12 songs. Or don't be that person that comes up to me at quarter to 12 and says, can I do 3 songs? I got 3 songs I want to do. It's like, well, let me think. No. You get one, make it a winner. And so hopefully it's a sign of things to come. I'm sorry, I just had a peanut mix, like an Oriental peanut mix. Oriental, can I say that? I think it says Oriental on the thing. An Asian spicy peanut mix. That's also might be why I'm sweating. So hopefully it's a sign of things to come for karaoke. We'll start picking up at Ye Old Rio Station. What else is going on? I'm very excited about my 76ers. I kind of been it was a long 3-4 years of going through this process, but as long as I have a bad habit of covering the microphone. Sorry if you can't hear me. You all know it was the process, and we're sort of nearing the end of the process, which is ding, ding, ding. This year, make the playoffs. Next year, you make the big play for 1 or 2 major free agents. The name everyone knows is LeBron James. But Paul George is going to be out there. Kawhi Leonard might be out there. Klay Thompson might be in play. The Sixers, long story short, have a very exciting young core with Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Markelle Fultz, who's now finally playing. And they have enough cap room, because all their best players are young and on their cheap contracts. You can go out and sign 2, not 1, but 2 big-time free agents for next year. And you can go instantly from pretty good team to really pretty great. And things are breaking in their favor currently because they played a super exciting, heart-stopping game against Cleveland last night, in which they overtook Cleveland for the 3rd seed. Toronto is the 1 seed. Boston is the 2 seed. Boston just lost their best player. So it's conceivable that they could lose their first round match to the 7 seed, and then after the first round, they reseed. So it could be the 1, 3, 4, 7 seeds remaining, in which case they reseed. The Sixers could get 2 playoff series with home court advantage, which is always big in basketball. Of course, that second round series would probably be against Cleveland. I'm not sure you want Cleveland. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. You got to play them at some point. And it's conceivable they could get home court throughout, but that means the 1 and 2 seeds would have to lose. It's not impossible, but it's not likely. But we'll see. Things have been breaking their way. 13 wins in a row. Super exciting game last night. They were up 30 while I was driving up to the Parkway rest stop there. And you just knew that wasn't going to last. And it was a 2-point game with 3 seconds left, which is crazy. In that vein, my song recommendation of the evening is Clap Your Hands, Everybody, which is the Sixers fight song, Sixers victory song. It's a great, they revived that song from the 70s, the Dr. J era Sixers. Cat! Yeah, I hear you, Cat. So Clap Your Hands, Everybody. It's on the YouTube. It's 3 minutes long, which is about 2 minutes too long, but it's a lot of fun. What else do we have coming up? Next Billy Joel night, of course, is Saturday, May the 12th. I have listened to you, my viewing and listening audience. We are going to start that show at 7 o'clock. Because the only complaint I got last weekend was that, 8 o'clock's a little late for us because the Billy Joel show draws a crowd of about my age, to a little younger, to a little bit older. And 8 o'clock on a Saturday doesn't seem like much when you're 23, but when you're at the ripe old age I've reached, it's like, it's a little bit late. So we're going to start that gig at 7, go to 11, maybe a little bit afterwards. And that's that for the Billy Joel. I finished Beyond the Ice Limit. It was actually a very entertaining Lincoln and Child book. A sequel to one of their first novels that's at least 15 years old, maybe older. It's a Gideon Crew novel. Gideon Crew is a character they introduced in a trilogy 10 years ago-ish. And he is in this book. He was not in the original one 20 years ago, but he is introduced into this story. It's a sharp story, sort of a sci-fi thriller story. Very satisfying. I really enjoyed that book. So I think maybe I'm just over the Agent Pendergast character right now. And again, it's in the first book, they go to excavate a giant meteor because the man who funds this expedition, 12 minutes, I haven't talked about anything yet. The man who has funded this expedition is starting a museum in which he wants the largest of everything, the largest fossil, the largest diamond. He bought a pyramid, and he heard about this giant meteor down in the South Pole, at the ice limit, which is where the sort of ocean meets the ice cap. Excavated it, things went wrong, hence there's a sequel called Beyond the Ice Limit, where they try to reacquire this meteor, but I'm not going to give anything else away because it would be a huge spoiler. But it's a very entertaining book. I really, really enjoyed it. And I would show it to you, but I returned it to the library yesterday, just a couple days late on that. So I got about $3,000 for the late fines. I just pay a dime every time I go in. They still let me get stuff out. Let's see. I'm sorry, there's not much going on in this video, but I figured I'd put one up because it's been a couple of days. I have moved on to a book called The Hangman by Faye Kellerman. I can't show it to you because it's in the room that is currently occupied by one of my 3 boys who are in and out of there every 5 minutes. But that book was given to me by Wendy Rodelico. Thank you, Wendy. I'm about 40 pages in, and it seems to be deep into this Lieutenant Decker series, a la Elvis Cole. I haven't read any of the previous ones, but I'm keeping up. Not much to say right now, except there's a woman who is afraid of her husband. She has her son with them. They're separated, and then she goes missing. And that's the first 40 pages. Where it goes from there, I do not know. But the Decker character has a history with this woman. I can't remember her name right now. But it's kind of cruising along, setting it up, and we'll see where it goes from there. And the husband is a hitman or something like that. It's all coming together. See, they're fighting over the bathroom right now out there, the 4 of them. It's like Mad Max Fury Road out there. I do have a couple of announcements to make. I am putting the finishing touches on putting my first podcast venture together. My TKO Productions partner and I, Kevin Ebner, are currently looking into the hardware and software we're going to need to acquire. It looks like I have most of it already. It's just a matter of figuring out how to make it all fit together. Our good friend Chris Nagel over at Wibbage has been giving us some advice. Unofficial, off the books. He's not part of it. He's just saying, well, I'm in radio and I know all these things I can impart on you. So we're going to take advantage of his acumen. Maybe we bring him into the fold later, but I don't know how that conflicts with his radio job. So just forget it. I said anything. But Chris is just a great guy. Chris is expecting another baby and just had one. And he was out with adults for the first time in a while. after rehearsal the other night in this post-rehearsal, let's talk about the show meeting over beers. That was the last video I put up, was Wednesday. Quickly turned into the Chris Nagel Gets to Talk to Adults hour, which is great. I love Chris. And he's got a million stories for you. It wasn't very productive as far as the show goes, but I think it was good for Chris to be around other grown-ups for an hour with beer. So there's that. So yes, I'm putting the finishing touches on this podcast. It's going to be sort of an arts/cultural show. I think I can tell you. It's going to be hosted by myself and Roy Steinberg from Cape May Stage. Ding, ding, ding. Really itchy tonight. And it's going to focus on theater, perhaps some music, basically an hour of what's going on in Cape May as far as the arts go. And that's all I know right now. I'm going to put the gear together. Roy and I will sit for an hour and just record and see what happens. And we do have sort of a format laid out. And I'm going to borrow heavily, meaning I'm going to steal from these, oh my gosh, ding, ding, ding. From this great REM podcast I've been listening to, but we might take that into sort of a Broadway soundtrack kind of direction. We're going to do a review of something on each episode. And of course, talk about my show, talk about Roy's shows, talk to the actors. So I'm pretty excited about that. I hope to have it ready to go by the end of this month. There's another sort of separate podcast venture I'm going to be hoping to launch in May. And I will keep you up to date. I can't say anything yet until the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and the ink is dry. So my sort of vague booking post the other night of, well, things are in the pipeline, so many things. These are the things I'm talking about. I'm really excited about the podcast ideas because there's just no real Cape May-centered podcast, and I'm hoping to be the first one to tap into that vein, as they say. But the first one's going to be Roy Steinberg, the Cape May Arts podcast. Probably this is the Cape May Stage podcast. And culture and the arts. The second one I can't really talk about yet, but next month hopefully we'll have something to tell you. I can tell you that starting on Monday, May the 7th, Tim, Joyce, and I are returning to the Beach Shack at Rusty Nail to play acoustic music. Had a great time out there. We're there from May 7th into like mid to late October. We start on Monday, then Sunday, then Monday, then Sunday, then Monday for 22 weeks. That's a good gig down there, especially when it's warm. It's not going to be warm in May, but I'll wear pants. I do have pants I can wear. I tried 4 times to go see Ready Player One over the last 2 days. Wasn't able to do it, but my no good 12-year-old son went with his buddy today without me, but that's okay. It was like a birthday party thing. If you have not read Ready Player One, it's really written for me. Men my age who are a lot nerdy, a little bit geeky. It's basically a love letter to 70s and 80s pop culture. Long story short, just imagine Facebook is a virtual world where you sort of put the glasses on, but you enter this whole huge, unlimited world of different world. There's like a Rush, the band Rush. There's like a Rush world. There's a video game Doom. There's a whole world that's about Doom. It's been 5 years since I read the book, but you can be anyone you want to be. And the person who has invented this sort of Bill Gates-ish kind of character, dies, and within his game he leaves some keys, and if you find all the keys, you then own that virtual world, and of course the billions and billions of dollars that come with it. And it's the teenager, sort of poor kid who comes out of the projects, the stacks they call them. It's literally mobile homes stacked on top of each other against the big corporate bad guys, and it's a race to the finish. And the book was very exciting, but it was mostly there for the pop culture. And people who are complaining about that movie being too pop culture reference heavy did not read the book, because that's all the book is just this man, Ernest Cline is the author, his love letter and homage to all things sort of 80s. And that's, I'm going to try to sneak out and see that tomorrow. Or Monday, but we shall see. I think that's it. I didn't have much to tell you, and it took 20 minutes to not tell it to you. Our YouTube count currently, I need 4,000 hours and 1,000 subscribers. I'm currently at, drum roll please, 64 hours and 42 subscribers, but I expect that to climb in the next couple of weeks. I did this. There's one other big sort of thing I can't tell you. I hate to be such a horrible tease. Um, I'll be able to tell you about this time next week, or it just might be a sort of known thing at this time next week. Something I'm trying to keep under wraps until it makes itself public, or I make it public. I know I'm being purposely, willfully vague, but I don't want to, I'm a big spoiler guy. I don't want to spoil that for you. So I think I hit the main points. If you, ding, 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 my gosh, so itchy tonight. Maybe a shower. I haven't showered in like 5 days. Kidding. Kidding. If you know people you think might enjoy this silly little channel, please feel free to recommend it to your friends. Hit subscribe, hit the little bell for notifications. I'm up to 7 patrons on the Patreon now. Thank you, Ryan Sinclair, for jumping on there. $3 a month, all appreciated. And I think that's it for tonight. Not much going on. Pretty boring video, but I didn't want to leave you hanging. Feel free to leave questions, comments, concerns in the comment section, but don't ask me things that I can't answer because I hate not answering them for you. That is it. I want you all to have a wonderful remaining last 36 hours of spring break if you have kids my age. If you're a grown-up, then enjoy your Sunday and then back to work on Monday. And that's it. Till next time, be good.